So this is our very small scale house. It's a 2-story house, just like you would have here in Apple Valley. One little difference is right at the moment it doesn't have the petrochemical slew of things in the contents. It's just more like a legacy house. It's ordinary combustible, so it's wood. Yeah, the OSB has a little bit of glue in it, but it's pretty much just wood. And when we start the fire, we're gonna have just some newspaper, some straw, some hay, some ordinary combustibles. What's the difference, or what are we gonna observe when we have ordinary combustible fire? In terms of that smoke that we talked about in there. It's going to be white. Is it going to be super thick? Nope, it's not going to be very dense. And when we start the fire, we can get it pressurized for sure, and we can get some velocity on it, but it's going to be a different color. And when we introduce other flammable materials, you'll see that that smoke's going to change color. So this house is composed of 4 rooms on 2 different floors. So it's got a room here. There's a slider in the back that allows you to open up a door to simulate going from one room to another. So it's got a second room here on the first floor. There's a door separating the two, so you can, just like you would in a house, right? The third floor, or the third room on the second floor, also has a compartment that we can move up and down so that we can see as if you were opening up a door to the second level. This room is protected, and it's going to stay that way so we can observe the difference between an unprotected room and a protected room. There will still be events happening in this room, but you're going to see they're going to be drastically different than these 3. On the top, there's a vent that will help us simulate if we were to go up and cut a roof hole, and there's also another vent in the ceiling that's going to simulate, okay, so if what happens between when I ventilate just cutting a hole in the roof, and what happens when I actually poke through the drywall that separates that attic space, and the differences there, right? You're gonna see that when we're gonna control the fire in this compartment, we'll make the smoke move throughout the whole building, and we're gonna make the fire move through the whole building too. You can see that the fire is growing. And it's getting bigger. You can see that heat coming out the top. When I move the door in a little bit, that's going to increase the pressure in the room, right? So now I'm going to get more the pressure is going to grow. The fire might die down a little bit, but I'm going to get more velocity on the smoke. You can see that happening already. What's going to happen if I open this up? Fire will get bigger. What's going to happen with our smoke? It's going to get less pressurized, right? What's happening right now? Come on, guys. Bidirectional flow, right? I've got clean air coming in there. The fire's consuming that air. It's pressurizing at the top and coming out. So obviously the fire is right there because you can all see it. But if it wasn't there, that would tell us that the fire is on that floor, right? Just like when you have a camper, that fire is actually going fairly well, right? It's not where we want it yet. So what's happening to the smoke? It's super light because it's all getting there's no unburned products of combustion. They're all burning. So it's super efficient right now because we've got fuel in there and we've got plenty, and now we've got heat. All right, so I got my fire pouring out of there. That grew quickly. What's going to happen to the fire? Yeah, because we don't have any oxygen, right? So we're knocking that part of the fire triangle out, or whatever you want to call it. We're knocking one of the legs out, the one leg that we can. When I give it a little bit more oxygen, look at the change in the velocity and the density and even the color of the smoke, right? Super good illustration right there of the bidirectional flow. I know that the fire is there on this level. When I give it some more oxygen, what's going to happen? It's going to start right back up. While that's reigniting, let's take a peek at what's happening at the other parts of the house, okay? So we've got this controlled, still filling up with smoke, right? Woo, there's some good flow, right? But look at even look at the difference in the velocity. You can see it, right? Because the heat's not there. So this smoke is just lightly wisping out, whereas this is pressurized because it's got more heat. The smoke's different. So if you were to come up to a house and see this compared to that, where are you going to want to make your fire attack, right? So let's put our knowledge to the test. That's That's where our knowledge is going to apply directly to our tactics. This is where the fire is, not so much there, right? Does that make sense? Look at that. Hardly any smoke. Room above the fire floor, maybe a little bit more smoke, but really all you're seeing here is the smoke traveling that way more than anything. That got her going pretty quick. Inside we talked about how smoke is fuel, right? Especially in our modern homes. In a home like this, or in when materials like this are on fire, is it in producing smoke, is it so much fuel? Not really, right? I can't really do much to any of this smoke. That's just my torch going on fire, right? Because it doesn't, partly because it's still burning nice and hot and cleanly, but also just because the materials aren't there. This smoke is different because it's just ordinary wood, maybe a little bit of glue, some straw, and some cardboard, right? We've got this compartment going. Let's say we make entry to this part of the house. Oh, that's not where my fire attack is, so I gotta get to this. I gotta get from this room to this room. So I'm gonna open up a door. Now what's going on? Do you see the pressure change here? It's looking, the air is looking for a way into this compartment, especially if I close it. Now we're just going to pressurize that whole bottom part. And all I'm doing is I'm moving the smoke and everything from room 1 here to room 2. And eventually the fire will travel there as well. What's that? Oh, there we go. See, I didn't even need to give it any assistance. So when we talk about controlling your vent points, controlling those doorways, that's what we're talking about. Because all we're doing now is moving the fire through the house. And I'm not doing that through, actually starting a fire in this compartment. All I'm doing is moving it. That fire is still, look, that fire is still going plenty good. Even though before, every time I close this door, I was basically choking the fire out. Now all I've done is I'm moving it. It's growing like crazy in here. Does that make sense? So we made entry. Holy cow, we got a big fire. So now we're going to close those compartments, and what's going to happen? Instantly pressure, like you can see the pressure in that compartment. When Matt closes the door there, it's going to get even bigger. Now we're going to get to that part where the smoke's going to become dangerous for us, right? Way different in velocity, way different in density, way different in color even, really. I mean, now it's getting clear again. Do you see that? We'll do that one more time. We'll let that pressure build. So the people got out, we're on our way. Who's doing blue card right now? Matt, who's doing blue card right now?
Doing it?
Yeah, is anybody actually in process who's not speaking up? Oh, shoot.
And I will have
Look at that difference in the smoke, the velocity, the density, the color.
Watch the puff that happens with that lights back on.
Yep. Now I'm going from a fuel-controlled fire to a ventilation-controlled fire. Do you see that? Do you see the puff there? That the fire is breathing. You can actually see it happening. There we go. Now we got some rapid heat release rates, right? We can still choke that out just like with the legacy materials. Eventually it's going to go away. Now open it up, yeah. Really good bi-directional flow there. That's a highly pressurized compartment. There's plenty of heat in there. So that it's just looking for oxygen. And the cool air out here, relatively cool air, low pressure air is looking for a way in too. All we're doing now is giving it more air. Everything about the environment's going to change the behavior of this house. Obviously if it was raining, the pressure differences between summer and winter, the wind, it's just like a real house. If the wind's going, one way or the other, it's going to make it easier or harder to fight the fire, right? I closed the door. Look at the difference in the heat. It's on the same floor, but everything about this room is slowing down, right? Which is why when they actually pay attention, we can actually help the public when they close their doors instead of, oh, my dryer's on fire, I'm gonna run around and open up every door and every window in my house right before Christmas. That worked out really well for her. Now by closing those ventilation, because I have ventilation in this room, right, and I closed everything else, now I've got a bigger fire because I've built up, it's still got plenty of oxygen, less oxygen than it had before, but plenty, but now I'm increasing the pressure in that room, I'm increasing the heat release rates in that room, right, because that fire is radiating, now the OSB is starting to kick back. Why don't you go ahead and close that up. Yeah, that styrofoam helps the heat a lot. Go ahead and see, let's give her some, boom, look at that. That pressurized, unburned byproducts combustion, as soon as that super rich smoke, as soon as it hits the air, starts on fire. How does that relate to our tactics if we didn't know where the fire was? What's that? The door shut. Yeah, right? You see that upon entry, you're going to have to keep the door shut. Get ready to make that attack right away, right? Spray water up high above you. Get that heat down. Now you can actually see it chugging. It's oxygen deprived. Now it's looking for air. It's just sucking the air in the bottom there. You can actually see the smoke traveling back into the compartment. Did you get the back door too? Now we've opened up that door in the back, this window here, so now we're gonna get that high pressure smoke. Some of the heat's gonna be transferring from that first room into the second room, right? So we're moving the fire, not by starting a new fire in here, it's just what's gonna happen. The convection currents are gonna come this way, that radiant heat's gonna come this way, and we're gonna start this room on fire.
We went in and we didn't close the door.
Yeah, right? Yeah, we don't know where the fire is, so we make entry here in room 2. Now we got that. What's going to happen if we're not paying attention to what the science is telling us? We're going to get ourselves in big trouble because we're going to get a fire consuming the whole first floor. And if we're way in there, if this is obviously it's a really small scale model, right? But if we're lost on that first floor or we're not where the fire is, we haven't found it efficiently, we're creating a way bigger problem for ourselves, right?
What if you're on second floor?
What's that?
What if you're on second floor?
Yeah, if you're on second floor, you're an even bigger problem. Why shouldn't you be on second floor though? If you made entry here, based on what we know about science, how does it relate to our tactics? If I open up the door and I see that, is the fire on the second floor? Huh? Not yet, for sure. It's on this floor because when I opened up, you've got that plane is right there. It's so clear. It's sucking air in. The smoke's coming out. I know the fire is on this floor, so I got to get to it. I've got to find it and put it out. Look at the difference in the velocity, the everything about that smoke. That's just wisping here. It's not starting anything on fire, is it?
Now the door is open, you have a stairwell.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell them.
Oh yeah, so he took so there's a, like I said at the beginning, there was a cap in there. So now this is, what if we have an open stairwell? Or what if somebody, even if it has a door on it, they left the door open? Now we're getting all that stuff transferring up to the second floor, right? Let's open up door number 1 and get her to flame up a little bit more. Look at that. That's where my fire is. Look at the smoke is just sucking in there. It increased the pressure here, but look at what's happening there. It's all just, bam, right back into that fire room, right? Oh.
Don't run out of fuel again.
Yeah. So that's the protected room. It's this, look, the smoke is gonna look for the path of least resistance, right? In every single one of our homes, there's cracks, there's holes, there's things in the walls where the smoke's gonna get to. But look at the difference in the smoke here. And when we break this down, you're gonna see that that room's protected. Because it's because the windows are shut, the doors would be shut. It's gonna, the impact of the fire, even though there's smoke in there, the impact of the fire is gonna be dramatically different in room number 4 than it is anywhere else. Look at that. Here, let's cover, can you put the thing back in? We'll just start with room 2. We've already got her going up into room 3. We're gonna close that. Again, what would it be if they close that door on their stairwell? You can see here, for those of you that can see into room 2, all that fire is doing is it's traveling from that first compartment into the second. Where is it traveling? Up high on the ceiling, right? As those convection currents are coming, as that smoke and that heat is looking for the path of least resistance, the fire is going to come with it. And all we're doing is now we're going to increase the heat release rates in this room. And we're going to start this room on fire. That fire is getting plenty of oxygen. Go ahead and open door number 1. Again, look at that, just sucking the air right in. Look at the difference when I closed room 2, all of a sudden the flames are way higher in room 1, right? Look at the difference in pressure there. My smoke, or my fuel is definitely becoming, my smoke is definitely becoming fuel. All it's looking for is the right mix of oxygen. It's too rich right now. Now it's not too rich. I got the hose too if you want to use the hose. All right. Look at the difference in, compared to 10 minutes ago, the difference in the velocity, the color, everything, right? So that's why when somebody's home and reports their house on fire, for us generally it just becomes a room and contents fire, right? It's not much of anything at this point because we can get there fast and knock it down. You see that? That fire is actually burning. Or that smoke is actually, thank you. Yes, the fire is actually burning.
But look how it's burning on the top, not on the bottom.
Yeah, right? It's too rich, so it just needs that right component of oxygen. Did you get that on camera?
Yeah.
Sweet. Everybody see that? Pressure, smoke-fueled explosion.
Do it again.
We'll give it a whirl. You want to get that, open up 1, we'll get that fire going again. And look at the smoke puffing there. You can actually see it. It's just looking to get enough oxygen. And then look at how once we actually have a fire, look at the difference in how that smoke changed. It's almost all gone. Now it'll build again, but it's almost all gone because all of a sudden our fire got super efficient, right? It's actually burning it's free burning. There's nothing stopping that fire now until we stop it. I can make it move over here. Look at the difference in that smoke, the velocity, the color, the density, everything about it's changed. And we talked, before inside, we used to make lots and lots of ventilation openings. Look at the difference. If I went around and did that all over, whereas if my ventilation openings are nice and small, I can control that fire a lot easier, right? We'll keep playing with the first floor for a little bit, and then we'll make the fire come up to the second floor and see the difference there, okay? I don't know if you can see it very well, but there's actually smoke, like this is actually part of it on fire, and you can actually see the smoke being sucked back into the building there at the bottom and then coming out the top, just looking to grow. What's that?
Puffing a bit?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, even though it's wide open, that smoke's puffing. It's looking, there's plenty of heat in there. Close it up and see if that'll get it really rich. That'll probably help too. Get that? All I did, what changed there is I forgot that door in the back was open. So the heat and everything is still building in this compartment. When I closed that door, all of a sudden I forced everything back in here to make that fire grow. All I did is close the door. Go ahead and close it. So now it's going to be super easy. I mean, that's free burning. That's flashover stage right there, right? Like everything in there is just waiting. You see that puff? You see that fire is just breathing. It's just looking for enough oxygen. What's that? Yep. We'll get her moving. So now I've opened up my door in the back. Almost no smoke coming out of the main fire room, right? Because all the smoke's coming out here. So now I've created a path. Oh, look at the smoke just on fire at the top of the house. You want the hose? All right. Look at it breathing there at the bottom. It's puffing at the bottom. You can really start to see the difference in the smoke color now. We're not going to get to white smoke. We've just got too many unburned products of combustion in there. And now we're not really going to get away from the pressurization. All we're going to happen if we open everything, we're just going to go into free burning because everything's there, it's ripe.
Got a hole in the roof?
Yeah. All right, so now we're gonna pretend like we're doing a hole in the roof. Is that really gonna help a whole lot? Not yet, right? You'll notice that a lot of the smoke just built up in the cavity. What if I poke a hole in the drywall now? Now I just move my path from where to where? From room 3 up into the attic, right? If I don't coordinate my ventilation with my suppression, all I've done is I've just moved the fire higher. Look at the velocity in the attic now, the color and the pressure, everything about it's changed. Pretty soon, that'll be shooting fire. Go ahead and close one, yeah. Yeah, the closed room, look at how much smoke is in there. We don't have fire in there yet, unless Matt does this. Now there's fire in there, right? Until what? Why'd the fire go out? Yeah, there's no fuel. There's plenty of oxygen in that room. The only thing that's not in there anymore is the fuel. And the fuel was just smoke. There's nothing else in that room to burn. Go ahead and close that. You got the roof panel on there? Or the drywall, either one. So we had fire all the way out there. Now we definitely have a working fire. Go ahead and pop the roof panel now. Okay. No smoke coming out of the first floor, even though that's where our fire is, or our fire was, our main fire room, first floor. All it's doing is looking for oxygen. All that smoke and everything's up there in the higher levels. So if we're not applying that science to our tactics, we could get ourselves in trouble, right?
All apart at the end?
Yeah. Yep, you'll see the burn patterns. It's super cool.
This is full of pops.
Keep 4 closed just so you can see the difference in that room. I don't want that to burn too much. That would be a free burning, fully involved fire, right? We're not, hopefully nobody, based on your science, is gonna think I'm gonna advance the hose line into that if you see fire blowing out of 3 of the 4 rooms.
No
no longer just the smoke, the structure.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we've gone beyond just, you know, I don't know if you could hear Matt. The OSB is on fire. It's a fully involved structure fire at this point. Open up the roof panel. We'll get that fire all the way to the top. Open up one just a tiny little bit. What do we got for a time?
7:17 after. About another,
Huh?
go another 10, 12 minutes.
Yeah. Yep. What's that?
Make sure you rip the front off of that.
Yeah, for sure. Look at the fire. So he's got that room completely open. The fire is barely even coming out of that room number 1. You know, it's blowing out of the roof because we've created that path based on what we know about the science, right? It's most definitely a fully involved structure fire now.
Look at this side, Matt.
This side. Yep, yep. What's that? No, do you guys, anybody have any questions about this? What we've done? Want to see something happen again? Huh? Let her burn, is that what you said? Let her burn.
Floor fell in already.
Yeah, I mean, so at some point, what?
Can I ask one?
Yeah.
Have them shut all the front except for the bottom and the top, you know, where you get it ripping. Have them take the hose and hit right in the main fire room.
Oh, okay, hold on, yeah, all right. Let's close 3, close the roof. We'll get one open so it's burning. We want to do a coordinated fire attack, so we'll hit one and open up so it's burning out the roof, so you can see what happens when we coordinate ventilation and suppression. Here, wait, hold on, don't put her out. So we'll get it ripping through the roof, and then you'll actually see what happens when we coordinate that ventilation and suppression. Good idea.
There's almost no fire in here. A little bit.
Yeah, if you need to do it on 3. There you go. Do it on 3. What's that? No, so you just put it out on, well, unless we can get it go back down to 1. So now look at the difference. I mean, granted it's not on the first floor fire room, but you can see the difference that vento makes, right? It's super easy for when he's putting the fire out on 3 for all that heat to escape when it's coordinated. Now there actually is, when you're cooling that room, you're actually doing something with the ventilation. Our attic's slightly pressurized. All right. Make sense to everybody? All right. So when we talk about fire patterns and fire behavior, but look at the difference. Here I've got some alligatoring where that OSB is cracking. It looks different, you know, because it's actually, there was plenty of direct flame impingement here. This alligatoring is more severe than this stuff. And this, I mean, it's burning away stuff. I mean, it was falling apart. The alligatoring is way more severe there. So when we talk about, I mean, there's no V pattern because it was free burning, right? Like the whole thing was on fire. But when we talk about that fire flow and that fire pattern to help determine where the fire traveled to, where it started, when we get to our origin story, this is what we're talking about. And if you come up and look at the house too, you can see there's almost, I mean, there's even very little smoke damage here at the bottom. This was that room 4, that protected room. And remember, based on what we know, the science and the tactics, right? Why do we tell the little kids to get down low? Because this is where there was probably still maybe a minor bit of air, right? Certainly survivable compared to standing up or being at the top floor. If you want to come look at it, it's barely even dark. You can still see not pure OSB, but it certainly hasn't gotten any flame damage, and it's way little heat damage and very little smoke damage compared to the rest of the compartment, right?